just do the same thing over and over again. They throw everything they can at the wall and they see what sticks. For example, rapists and thieves. That didn't stick. Grab her by the pussy. That didn't stick. Very fine people. That didn't stick. Russia. That didn't stick. Impeachment trial 1. That didn't stick. J6. That didn't stick. Impeachment trial 2. That didn't stick. The 34 felonies out of a misdemeanor. That didn't stick. The E. Jean Carroll case. That didn't stick. You still voted for him. But the one that you're going to stop on is that he's owned by Israel? Really? You're listening to noise and missing signal.
The most important thing happening in Iran right now is something that isn't happening. In fact, it's tons of things not happening. No demonstrations against America, no proxy attack, no Hezbollah counterstrikes, nothing but lying there and taking it. And almost nobody is talking about this. There's a famous scene in Sherlock Holmes, Silver Blaze, where the detective solves the case by noticing something everyone else missed. The dog didn't bark. The fact that nothing happened was the evidence. The absence was the clue. Richard Shurer, the man who wrote the CIA's training manual on how analysts think, identified this as one of the most dangerous blind spots in intelligence analysis. He called it the failure to account for the absence of evidence. And it's playing out right now in Iran in a way that should change how you see the entire situation. Here's how it works. Human beings are wired to analyze what happened. We see an event, we assess it, we react. What we almost never do is ask, what didn't happen that we would have expected to happen if our model were totally correct? Heuer demonstrated that trained intelligence professionals, people whose literal job it is to notice things, consistently fail to account for evidence that takes the form of something not occurring. Because the absence of an event doesn't trigger the same cognitive response as the presence of one. Your brain doesn't flag what it doesn't see. So let's apply this to Iran. I want you to think about everything that hasn't happened since the decapitation strike that killed Khamenei over a month ago. Where are the massive street demonstrations in defense of the regime? After Soleimani was killed in 2020, millions filled the streets. The supreme leader is dead. Where are the millions now? Where's the coordinated proxy counterattack? Hezbollah has been decapitated. The Houthis are under bombardment. Assad has fallen. Iran's entire proxy architecture has been dismantled. Where's the retaliation from the network that was supposedly built exactly for this scenario? Some voices online are trying the ridiculous line that Iran is winning and the US has retreated. Okay, I'll play. Where's their military response? Iran supposedly has ballistic missiles left, right? Couple drones lying around, sleeper cells in the West. The United States gave them a 48-hour ultimatum and told them exactly what was coming. Where's their counterstrike? Where are the regime's allies? Where's Russia? Where's China? Where's the diplomatic coalition that was supposed to constrain American unilateral action? Every single one of those absences is a piece of evidence. And taken together, they tell you something no headline is telling you right now. The dog ain't barking. The proxy network is not retaliating because it no longer functions. It really doesn't exist. The streets are not filling because the population is not willing to die for a regime whose leaders' families are living in Beverly Hills taking bikini pics with bottles of booze in the shot. The military is not responding because it can't, or its commanders are already calculating their personal exit. And the allies are silent because they've decided that this isn't their fight after 47 years. So if your model of Iran still says regional power with a sophisticated proxy network and a population willing to mobilize for the regime, then every one of those absences should be forcing you to update that model. Because everything your model predicts should be happening ain't happening. When it all gets quiet, keep thinking.
If I've said it once, I've said it a million times. Sometimes what they don't tell you is far more important than what they're trying to shove down your throat.
You're watching The Kramer Says Project.